I mean, obviously don't overstep, but there are boundaries, but...
You're in Israel, there are no boundaries. This is what we do. We overstep in the supermarket. היי וברוכים הבאים לרעיון טוב, פודקאסט על עיצוב, קריירה ורעיונות עבודה, בשיתוף עם קהילת סטארט-אפ דיזיינרס. אני עומרי דביר, Head of UX בנוקס, והיום תמר מתמודדת עם ההחלטה הגרועה של הריון שני, אז מצטרפת אלינו אורחת מיוחדת, מליסה טאוב.
Hi, thanks for having me.
בואו נתחיל. So Melissa, we are jumping into English. It's your request. You told everyone that you can speak Hebrew perfectly, but you wanna show off. That's okay. Let's do that. I wanted to ask you. You know, we are designers now, and designing is awesome. Obviously, we love it. We talk about it a lot. But have you ever had a job that wasn't like you went into your job and you're doing the job, and like live as you do the job, you're like, I should not be here. This is not right for me. I'm not the right person for this.
Yes, I definitely did. When I was younger, I would babysit. And one family in particular, the kids would torture me. They would call me, for some reason, they would call me Miss Jenny, and it would bother me so much, and they would never listen to me, and it was torture, but I kept doing it, and I was like, why do I keep doing this?
It's the sweet, sweet babysitting money.
Yeah, I just needed the money.
What's Miss Jenny? Where is that from?
These little kids just thought of it. I don't know if it's like a reference to something, but they just knew that it would get on my nerves, and it worked.
They're just so good at psychological torture. Because they're not strong enough to actually beat you up, so they wreck your brain. This is amazing. It's funny because I used to teach martial arts to kids, and like I grew up doing martial arts, and it's kind of like I know how a martial arts class needs to look like, and everyone is standing in lines and doing the moves, and you know everyone down to press ups. And then in my first class, I got to teach like 6-year-olds. They cannot stand in line. They cannot do press ups. So none of my techniques worked, and it was such misery. I hated every second of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I caught up pretty quick that it's not for me. So I only done it for another 8 years, and then I stopped. No, I know.
You just like torturing yourself, don't you?
Well, you know what? Some psychologists will unpack that one day. Why I kept doing that to myself. But yeah, you know what? Sometimes we need to do the crappy jobs so we know what a good job is.
Yeah,
Which kind of brings us to what we were going to talk about today, which is this movement from one role to another, and specifically from being a marketing designer into a product designer. Not that one of them is crappy, not that one of them is psychological torture. They're both great jobs, but we're going to talk about this transition. But before we go into the actual content, let's introduce you, because you are a new voice here, and again, thank you so much for being here. So, Meliza Taub, who started as a marketing designer and today is working as an experienced product designer at Get. Meliza, thank you for being here. I'm really, really excited to talk to you.
Very happy to be here. Thank you.
No problem. So, we know each other from my wife. So, my wife used to work at Get, and you were friendly. And kind of the jumping off point to this conversation, and the reason why I thought you would be excellent to speak to, is because I was kind of witnessing this transition from the backseat, and like the starting point is I remember you were starting to kind of contemplate doing this move, and I will let you tell the story, but I remember you had the conversation with Noam, and I remember standing and eavesdropping in the back, and kind of shouting from the cheap seats, like, you have to do it. Go, why are you even contemplating? Do it. Do the move. So that was my contribution to this transition.
And I think that was the end of that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, okay, Omri says that, I gotta go for it.
No, I tend to break people quite a lot. So Melissa, let's go into the story. I don't want to tell it before you, but let's start just kind of to frame you and your story. So maybe we can start with what got you into design, and maybe kind of what got you kind of your career path into that marketing role at Get.
So I made Aliyah 10 years ago, and I made Aliyah after I got a degree in photography. from university in New York. And then for 3 years, I worked as a freelance photographer in Israel, mostly as an assistant for an Israeli photojournalist who's amazing and I loved it. And also doing some like family photos here and there, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I soon figured out that the Atzmai life was not for me. Like being my own boss was, some people are great at that. They love that. They thrive in it. Not me. So I needed more structure. And so I was like, okay, it was really hard for me also to like give up photography because that was like a dream since I was little. But I actually ended up going to a career counselor and told them like all my skills, what I like to do. And then they were like, actually, I think you should check out UX design. And I'd never heard of it before. So I did some research and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I really like it. So I ended up doing a boot camp from Design Lab, UX Academy. I had a few friends that were also doing it or had done it in the past. It's an international program online. And I loved it. It was really great. I also had like no design background, even though I went to art school, because the photo majors are very focused on photo and video and never took like any kind of art class besides that.
Funny that they're concentrating on being good photographers.
Yeah, like the fine arts majors took like painting and graphics and all that stuff, but we were very focused. So I had no portfolio to give. So they had me do even like a design 101 course before this. I had to learn like fonts and color theory. I knew nothing. But it was a great course. They gave me an Israeli mentor. We had like group critiques, and also because my friends were doing it at the same time, like I had a lot of peers to do it with me. So that's how I really got started.
This is it's yet another transition. You kind of you shaping up to be a bit of a chameleon. I love it, and I think that's even more relevant because so many people in our industry are doing this kind of transition from and a lot of it is from design to design, and you kind of almost design adjacent, going from photography into design. So that was transition number one, and take us to that moment. So you kind of you throw your cap in the air after graduating. Now what?
So the reason I chose this course is because everyone that I knew that took it at the time, it was a different market. Everyone got a job within 3 to 4 months. So I was like, and that was what I was really concerned about, because coming into this new field with no real experience besides this course, I wanted to make sure that it was actually going to bring me somewhere. So at the end of the course, they give you something called career services. So they give you a mentor to work on your CV and interview skills. Then it was really helpful. And I had like applied to a lot of places, didn't even get that many responses, but the few that I did get kept going. And then I got the offer from Get. And it was an offer for a marketing position, which at first I didn't really know.
So that was a trick. They just get you in and then suddenly, here you go, marketing.
Well, I don't know whose fault it was, because maybe I misread it or they posted it weirdly. But when I spoke to HR, like HR doesn't always know what the exact role is, like the day-to-day work. And a lot of like the buzzwords they use overlap in other places. So I ended up doing the assignment wrong because I was so focused on it being like a UX assignment and showing my process and all of that and the research. And my future manager, ended up calling me and was like, I'm really sorry, like you did the assignment wrong. And I'm sorry that there was like a mix up, but he took the time to like explain what happened and what the role really was and what he was looking for. And he gave me another shot, which like changed everything. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love seeing interviewers and hiring managers who get involved, or at least they facilitate as much as they can, because I don't know if that mistake happened a lot. This is the first time I ever heard of it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, well, this one is on you. No, it's really nice that you got this opportunity. Clearly, they saw something in you, but that kind of get us to, this kind of get us to you standing in front of a contract, and obviously at this point knowing full well what you're getting yourself into. And what was going through your mind when you had to make the decision, okay, I get a job, I'm going to do design, and that's amazing. It's already winning the lottery twice, but not exactly the thing that you want to do.
Yeah, it was a hard decision. Like I remember thinking really long and hard about it. And I realized a few things. One, I was actually taking over a position for someone who went from marketing to product design. So HR and my manager made it very clear that like that trajectory was possible. And also my manager is really the reason I took the job. From that first conversation, like I saw that he was really willing to mentor me and improve my skills as a designer, whether it was in marketing or just design in general. And they kept telling me that there was a path forward and there was a lot of room for growth.
So you were both straightforward about your intentions. So you came in and you said, like, this is what I want. I'm signing up for this. Here's what I actually want. And they were very straightforward about, okay, it can happen. Obviously, no one can promise anything. Because again, about 16,000 stars have to align in order for that thing to happen. But it was clear to everyone from the get-go, right?
Yeah, I was very upfront. My manager knew that that's where I wanted to be. Obviously, I wasn't like trying to get there the first day. I was going to put my time in and really do the work, but he knew where my goals were. And I think that was really helpful for me.
I think that's another lesson because, Tamara and I speak about that a lot, and that idea that interviewing is like dating. And I think if you can be upfront about what you want, then one, you can save yourself a lot of time because, and this is the point where we're going to have a kind of an interesting conversations because like when people ask me for advice and they stand in front of a contract very similar to the one that you did back then, and they say, well, maybe if I can come in, through the back door as a marketing designer, and then slowly I can show my skills and get more opportunities and move into product design. And usually I advise against it because it's so hard, because it's not really the natural path. There's not a hell of a lot of internal mobility in a lot of companies. And I think what you did was smart because clearly if they told you, no, this will never happen, you cannot move from one team to another, it never happened in our history, like you need to be this special, little snowflake if you want it to happen, then you'd probably not have signed it, right? You've done something else.
Yeah. But because I knew there was a way forward to what I actually wanted, that I was like, and I knew I wasn't there yet. Like I probably could have kept applying and get something really junior somewhere else, but this was like an amazing opportunity where I knew that they were going to help mold me and help me create as a designer and then give me that opportunity. And I think Get is really unique in that there's a lot of internal mobility within the company.
And I think, and another thing you said, which resonates is, there's the saying that people don't leave companies, they leave managers. And I think it works the other way around. Like people don't always join a company, but they can join a manager. Like it happened to me as well when I go through a bunch of interviews and I just fall in love with the manager. I'm seeing the potential. I'm seeing all the things I can gain from working with this person. So again, there's just so many signals that you can get throughout an interview process about the job, about the company, about the manager, about the day-to-day. And I think you, by knowing what you wanted, being upfront about it, that was a perfect marriage of like, they can offer you stuff, you can offer them stuff, and then you ended up joining. Now, how different was this role from what you expected it to be, or what you wanted it to be? Like, what was your day-to-day very different to what you imagined?
Well, I didn't really know what to imagine. It was my first job in design and high tech.
Yeah.
My first job really working for someone else full time. And I actually had to keep reminding myself, like, I'm in marketing, because like my instinct was always to go with what I learned. And it was kind of like this internal, I don't know if it was really internal debate, because the UX usually won, but like the external debate, I had to like play the marketing up. But I also was really grateful that they used my real skills. Like my manager knew that my research and my like all of those UX skills were great. So I was never the one doing like amazing illustrations. Like that part of design was not for me. Like I have amazing coworkers that do the amazing graphics and do awesome work. I did more of like the forms and like what I would consider UX, but it just happened to be in marketing.
Right, right. No, I completely get it. And I remember when I kind of transitioned, because I didn't start from UX. I've done a lot of marketing design and brand design and a bunch of other stuff. And I remember kind of taking a project, like getting a project, like do a logo. And I'm kind of like, I did the logo because I want to get paid. I'm hungry. But then kind of expanding that project, like, what if I do an app like based on the logo? and I would create a bunch of assets just based on UX design because I wanted to build those muscles. So I think again, it's very clever from your side of like, well, I'm going to approach it as if it were a UX project because it's good for you. It's good for the team, kind of building your muscles. I like the visuals, the visual of you leaning on the wrong skills. It's like it's like a football player kind of, okay, now you're playing basketball. Stop kicking the ball. What are you doing? It was like, that's all I know. So it's really funny. But actually, so what skills did you gain from marketing design, which was completely new to you, which you feel like you still hold today, which helps you today?
That's a really good question. Obviously, I built out my skills of like visual design, which I obviously got some from the course, but working every day in it was helpful. What actually ended up happening is like the stars really aligned for me, and that a year after I started, the designer that was in charge of the website left, and I took over the website. So the website is a marketing website, but there's a lot of UX problems there. We completely redid the website and built a design system from scratch. Me and the developer, like one-on-one, very closely, reworked like the registration form. So all of those things, like I was still doing, like there were UX problems, but I also had to see it from the marketing team's perspective. So that was something that was really interesting because in my mind, I'm like thinking of like, you have stakeholders and you have like the product, but marketing is like, it's a different kind of mindset.
Right. Like you get measured on other things. Your KPIs are different. Your cadence is a little bit different. But I completely agree. There's the marketing universe, and you do banners and you do, like ads and all kind of stuff. But and then you got like the actual platform and the app. But then they kind of meet in the middle on the website, and it's like a marketing website. But there's, like you said, there's a ton of UX there, and if it's information hierarchy, if it's the design system, like there's so much of the UX thinking that needs to go into it. So it sounds like a really cool opportunity. Now that kind of leads me, if we're talking about this, that meeting point between between marketing and product. What was your relationship at the time with the product design team? Were you like two gangs in high school, kind of walking by each other, giving each other the stink eye? Or were you trying to like get in with the quote unquote cool kids because you knew that this is where you wanted to go?
Well, obviously I wanted to get in with the cool kids, but we had like a very big separation. Even today, we have a little less, even when I'm on the product team, but we didn't have so much interaction with them. Only like they would show us what they're working on if they need like marketing materials or if it applies to things on the website, but we didn't really know much. And it wasn't until we got the mikraz, the tender from Natbag, Ben Gurion Airport, where we were going to give all the, like was going to be in charge of the authorized taxis from the airport. And we had to offer two ways of getting a taxi. One was the app. But if users don't have the app, we can't force them to have it. So we needed to provide a self-service kiosk, which I worked with Noam on. And the kiosk is where we kind of overlapped because the web dev team, which was my team, was working on the back end of it. So I was placed as the designer on it. But because I'm not product, they needed also a product designer. So I worked very closely with the product designer and we designed it together. So that was my first real interaction with the product design team, and I loved it. It was like this little sprint that we did. We were like in the airport like every other day, these different like brainstorming sessions, and it was amazing because until then I didn't really have someone that I felt like really spoke my language on my team and like thought the same way, because they were a lot more like marketing like minded.
Sure. No, I imagine you like, those videos of the sea turtles when they hatch and they start walking to water. And then like I'm where I belong. I shouldn't be on sand.
Yeah.
This is water. This is great. Now, maybe I know we weren't going to talk about this, but just because I know this project because it lived in my house for months and months and months. But can you talk about this project for a minute? Because I find it fascinating designing for I call it like unconventional forms and unconventional situations, because we do so much design for computers and we do design for apps, but this specific project was designing for like people with phones but without phones, and they just come off the plane and they have internet but they don't have internet, and it's like there are cars somewhere but they don't really communicate with the other machine. Like talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, it was a really complicated project. And especially like if I think about the beginning, it was in a completely different place because like legally we needed to get all the things in order to understand like what was required of us, what we wanted to do, what was good for the user, what was good for the business. And then there were a lot of what was most interesting for me, which I worked very closely with Noam on, was the accessibility aspect of it. That like the kiosk had to be completely accessible. And we did a lot of research of like, I have a folder in my phone of every kiosk in the country that I went and I used, and like really delved into the world of accessibility. And it was fascinating. Like we did testing with a blind user to see if like our voice reader made sense, if like how was it doing. All these different things were like so interesting. And there's always problems that come up, especially when there's a line of people trying to get home after a long flight. And the last thing that they want to do is wait in line and fill out a form. So like you really try to make it the best experience you can.
This is fascinating. I can do, like, we probably should do a whole episode about that, about like it's designing in a weird form and in a very specific situation and people in transit, and specifically like designing for angry people. I think that's a whole it's like a whole skill, because no one gets off a flight and they're just happy. They have time, they can sit down and read. No, everyone is upset, everyone's annoyed, and they're hot and they're sticky and they just want to get to their hotel. And it's such a cool challenge. And I think like I'm hearing so many like a line that I say a lot on this podcast is that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And you've had all these like lucky stints, but they're really just you being prepared, being in the right place in the right time, having the skills and really utilizing those, because they kept handing you. Some of them were good opportunities, some not so good opportunities, but it sounds like you really use your skills to make the most of it.
Yeah, and I also think I really had to like push to be heard sometimes. Like the kiosk was an amazing project, but it was coming as in the marketing team versus the product design. Like I had to really make my voice heard, which was a great like struggle, but it pushed me and made me stronger.
I wonder, and you tell me, if like so much of what we do is language, and I find that when you talk to a person, and it could be in real life and specifically at work, like one of the things you evaluate is like, are they from my tribe or not, right? And like sometimes you sit with an engineer and they give you whatever design feedback, and just by the words they're using, you're like, okay, this person doesn't understand anything about UX, about UX fundamentals, about the Gestalt, and you could like, and then the German design of the 90s, 20s. But sometimes when you start talking to like a PM and they understand design and use the right language, then you really open up to that conversation. And I wonder if you, by using because again, you're leaning on your studies and your passion for UX design, if suddenly they see like a quote unquote marketing designer talk like a product designer, was that helpful to open the door and give you a seat at the table?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think like the more that I spoke up about my ideas and like would base it on, let's say, data or facts, that's when I was heard, because that's like product design is all based on actual data. And I think that was like a really big benefit, and I showed that skill, and then I probably was heard more because of it.
And I think that's, again, it's something that we talk about a lot, that not, it's almost like that advice of like, dress for the job you want and not the job you have. And I think a lot of people, and I'm not blaming them, but I think there's a big mindset of like, if someone just gives me an opportunity, then I would learn the job and I can be an amazing UX designer. But I think it's this Hollywood myth of like, if just someone discovers me as a coffee shop waitress and just takes me to the big city and makes me a star. But it's not really that. Like, the work has to happen before. Like, start learning about UX, start speaking like a UX designer, start thinking, behaving like a UX designer. And then it's a lot easier to start seeing you that way, through that lens. And I think this is a great example of doing it. Like, no, I'm a UX designer and I'm going to start behaving like one until it's undeniable.
Yeah, like you need to manifest it. Like you need to put in the work, and a lot of it sometimes is luck and the stars need to align, but you need to be ready for it. You need to be there and like step up to the plate when it shows up.
And there you go. Preparation meets opportunity. That's luck. And I love it, and I love seeing it in your experience. So let's jump forward. So you've done that project and you've done a few other projects, and then an opportunity comes up. And obviously I had a huge part of it, between 80 and 85%. I don't know why, but that's going to be
take credit.
That's the revisionist history that I'm trying to cement here. So an opportunity comes up. Tell us about that moment that suddenly the door was open for you.
So before you got involved, I'll just go back a little bit.
Nothing happened. The world did not exist before me. But okay, go on.
So I'll go back a little bit. So we had a PM, a product manager on the website, like here and there. And once they left, there was a hole that I kind of filled. So unofficially, like it wasn't really in my title, but my manager knew it, the team knew it, that I was kind of being the PM of the website. And so at this time, my manager knew that I was interested in being a PM and product design. And so it got to the point where he was like, okay, now there's the crossroads. You have to decide what you want to do, which I really appreciated that like I had kind of both offered to me. Like they would have like helped push me forward to product management or product design. And so it was through the kiosk project that I worked really closely for the first time with a product manager from the product team, that I saw everything she was doing and I loved what she was doing, but I realized that it was not for me. I was going to really miss the creative part, and the product design really called to me. So I said, okay, let's move forward with that.
I'm thinking about like Lord of the Rings, when you put the ring on, but it's like it's too much power. I'm gonna be drunk with power. I can't succumb to the powers of the PM. Like I want to keep the creative part. I get it.
I also didn't feel like I had the passion for it. Like I still had passion for product design. So while like there's a lot of overlap, I think, with PMs, like the research and all of that like beginning stuff, I wanted to do the end, like the final products.
So at that point, you kind of make a decision. You go and you say, I want to go down this route. Were you absolutely sure? Were you going 100%? Were you contemplating?
So at that point, I was interested, but I also knew they weren't gonna move me over immediately because there was no one to take over my job. So my manager pushed hard, worked a lot with the head of product and the head of the product designers. And they came up with a plan that I would kind of like intern on the product design team. Like while I'm doing my full-time job on the website, I take tasks here and there. And basically at Get, we have two products. We have the app that everyone knows, and then we have the web platform, which is for businesses to book for their employees that book their travel. So it made the most sense coming from website that I would go and work on the web platform. So I started doing like a few tasks here and there, and I loved it. Like it really confirmed that that's where I wanted to be. And it was really interesting. And it took a while to actually move me forward because there was no one to take over my old role. And there was just a lot of like bureaucracy stuff. But eventually, like we came up with a plan that I would support the website, kind of flip it. Like not that I would intern on the website, but I would like give some support when it needed it. But I would be full time in the web platform. So that's how I made that transition.
So from the moment you sign your contract until the moment you kind of officially transitioned into product design, how long was that time period?
4 years, I think.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. But I was on the website, like as like leading the website for 3 years.
Well, I think this is why this story is really interesting, and it's another thing that we say a lot is like there are many paths to careers. There are so many paths to the top of the mountain, and like your story is as random as any other story. Like I'm just, and not in a bad way. I'm just looking at all the things that needed to happen, all the different opportunities, like people leaving, people coming, people believing you, having champions, which I think is such a good lesson to anyone at work, and specifically to people with specific goals. Like you gotta have a champion. You need someone who will fight for you, someone who will be there and kind of advocate for you, because companies, and it doesn't matter, give me a company of 5 people, I'll give you a company with internal politics. Like it's everywhere, you kind of
Yeah.
have to play it. But I think when, and I could be wrong, but when people like almost see the title of the episode, it's like going from marketing to product, and it's almost like flipping a switch, right? Like you snap your fingers and now I'm a different thing. But you're describing a very long process that,
Yeah.
whilst managed and whilst very intentional, is very long, and you kind of have to wait for your opportunities, and you need to find the right time to go for it, right?
I would say, I mean, looking back, it looks like it happened. It feels like it happened in a second, but it was a journey. But I also think that like when I started, I was very much a junior, and I needed to build those basic skills. And it really gave me the place to do that. And then once I was ready and there was openings, then they pushed me forward. And you're right, like things just kind of have to align. And like the next thing that aligned was a designer from the mobile team ended up leaving. And while I'm sad that I'm not working with him anymore, I was able to kind of fill that spot, and they moved me to mobile in January.
Yeah.
So like the fact that I went from 3 different kind of products, if you call like the website a product, within 6 years, like they really gave me room to grow.
I love that story. And here's kind of a weird question. Let's say you join as a marketing designer, going back 6, 7 years, and like a month later, this opportunity would come up, and there would be a role open in product design. Do you think you would be as successful if you made the move then, rather than slowly over 4 years?
Well, it depends. Like if they would be open to having a junior. Like I didn't come in really as like maybe in their minds I was still a bit of a junior because I didn't have product design experience. That was more than like the kiosk. But I think I could have grown there, but I would have had to have the opportunity to do that. And I think the product design team isn't really built for juniors. At least it wasn't then.
Right. I think that's generally the problem with juniors in this economy. But the problem is because like you said, we need to build this space for juniors. And I think one thing juniors, and again, something me and Tamar talk about a lot, is that when you finish your course, and it doesn't matter if it's a professional course, a transition, a degree, you are not junior yet. Like one thing that we don't have in design is the idea of an entry level role, like an entry level designer. And I say it a lot that being a junior, it's like getting a belt in your karate class. Like you need to earn it. You need to earn
Yeah.
being a junior. You're not born as a junior. And companies, when they bring a junior in, it's not just that you work slower, but you're taking capacity from other people. So by
Yeah.
bringing a junior into the team, you're slowing everyone down, because you need a lot of help, you need a lot of hand holding. And I still think it's worth it. I think there's a lot of benefits in having juniors in teams, and we need another generation. So I wish the industry would have more space for juniors, but I completely agree. When it's a lot easier to come in when you show your potential and you show your abilities, and you need less hand holding. And again, you've done it. Like you've built your muscles through this process, and gain your spot, which I really like. Now, just in general. So when you look at your day to day doing this role as a product designer, how different is it from your day to day back in the marketing days?
So it's similar that you have stakeholders and you like, I think in marketing, like design that I did, you still do research, but it's not, you don't go that deep. I also personally feel like my word carries more in product design. And maybe that's just a self-conscious thing, but I feel like marketing design is very subjective. And product design, you show data, you back up what you're saying with actual real evidence, and it goes a lot farther.
It's more, I don't know if it's true. It's more scientific-ish.
It's evidence-based. Yeah.
Right.
And I think marketing design is very subjective. And a lot of times you'll get stakeholders that are like, we want this specific thing, not that. And you're like, well, that's just because you think that looks better, but that's not really based on anything. So I always struggled with that, especially because design wasn't my like forefront. Like the design thinking was, but not the actual like designing. So I always felt like it was hard for me to like back that up. So I feel like the data gives me like more armor, and I guess it built more confidence in my work. So that's been really good. Another thing is that I feel like on the website, I always tried to get user feedback and user testing. It was always a limitation we had. And now, like, let's say I'm working on the app, I could just go downstairs to the street and ask random people like different things on the app, and I have like immediate user testing. So that kind of opened up like a whole world of possibilities. So that's been really interesting.
Do you find that, and I'm sorry, like if all the marketing designers I'm sorry, but do you find there's different depth to the work? Do you do less projects, but you go more deeply into them compared to your marketing days?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think that we focus on something a lot longer. It depends what. It really depends on the task. Because I know the marketing designers, they can be working on something for weeks and months. Like, it really depends on the project. But I do feel like it's a bit more, and I think in marketing, you do a lot with like references and you try to see different styles. And product design, like, yeah, you see references to what other people do, but then you also go into like the psychology of it. And not to knock marketing, like I love marketing design, but I never felt like it was my place.
Sure. And that's fine. And I think when people ask me like should I do marketing design? Should I do product design? Like, what's better? And there's no better. It's like you can be happy doing product. You can be happy doing marketing. You can be happy teaching elementary school. Not you, clearly, or me. But each person finds their own place. I obviously advocate for product design because it gave me a nice career. And the money's better, I think. So I want people to have to buy Teslas. So that's my motivation. And let's kind of finish with this idea. So again, there are people listening, and there's a ton of people who are doing marketing design, brand design, print design, all kind of design, and we see that question going again and again, like, is it even possible to move from any kind of, insert your design here to product design? How do you do it? How do you climb that mountain? How do you, and I called it like the impossible task of moving from one box into another box. Just the second box has like massage chairs. What advice would you give to people who are trying to do what you did? And obviously luck will play the role that it plays, and opportunity will come when it comes, but what active actions can people do?
So I would say never stop defending yourself. I think in life, everyone should always be their biggest advocate. But in here, I felt like people kept trying to box me in as a marketing designer because that was my title. And even though it wasn't my background and what I felt like I knew, so I had to constantly push back and say, no, I'm a UX product designer. I know what I'm doing. Let me prove it. And the let me prove it part, I think, is the most important. Like, you can't just talk. Like, you have to actually like put in the work and do that. And you also need people willing to give you a chance. But like, sometimes you need to kind of push them to give you a chance.
Sure.
And don't stop pushing obviously don't overstep. but there are boundaries, but
You're in Israel. There are no boundaries. This is what we do. We overstep in the supermarket. It's interesting, like seeing you and again how determined you are and were at the time, because I remember someone saying that line that they were talking about America versus Europe, but I think it kind of has something to do with Israel as well. Then they were saying that in America you get credit, in Europe you get debit. And the idea is that in America, it's always like giving you a chance. There's always an opportunity. It's like, prove me wrong. Like you want to start a company, prove me wrong. You want to start, you want to do a movie, you want to be a movie star, go ahead. And if you screw up, then fine, then we tried. And I find that sometimes here in Israel as well, you kind of start with debit. You need to prove yourself before you get the chance. And again, it goes back to that mentality of like, if someone would just give me a chance to show how amazing I am, but no one has time for that. No one wants to take the risk. No one is going to take someone off the street who really, really want to be a product designer and give you a chance. Like, I find your story to be very relatable in the way of like, no, first do the work. First show you, like, prove yourself, advocate for yourself. And you kind of have to have those elbows in order to get to that place.
And I also think that that's something that it was helpful that I was already in. Like I wasn't from the outside saying, let me prove myself as a product designer with no experience. I was inside being like, okay, you think I'm one way. Let me prove to you that I could actually do more.
So if someone would come to you, which is probably better than coming to me, and ask for advice, and they would stand in front of a contract that says marketing designer in this tech company, would you suggest take it and start working your way through the inside?
Well, I wouldn't just say a blanket take it. I think you need to look at the facts of like who the manager would be, what the culture of the company is. If it's a place where there's no internal mobility, then you have your answer. If it's a manager that really wants to see you grow and will help you push you forward, then that's your answer. Like there's room for growth. So that's why I don't think it's like a cookie cutter answer. I think it needs to be like, what's the environment that you're going into?
And again, it goes back to knowing what you want and being transparent about it. And again, like dating, I think it's like, if you don't want kids, probably you should say it now rather than like at the 10-year anniversary. It's like, well, actually, I'm not into it. So having those expectations communicated and hopefully met is probably the right way to go. Meliza, this has been incredible. Like I think. Like I almost came into this conversation expecting like, well, here's how you do it. Step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. But actually it's this crazy unpredictable road with the underlying layer of, do the work, know who you are, never forget who you are, tell people who you are. And then when the opportunities come, then like grab it with 2 hands.
And to recognize the opportunities. Yeah.
100%, like exactly, like again, the opportunities are out there. You just have to find them. You have to keep your eyes open. Like I'm sure people who feel unlucky have so many good fortune like pass them by because they're not open to it, because they don't know how to recognize it. So yeah, again, it goes back to the idea of having agency and living life with eyes open and seizing moments. I love it. This it's almost like a little coaching podcast. We kind of move from design, but I think these are really great advice. So Meliza, let's go into the next segment, and this is everyone's favorite segment, where Meliza and Omri are gonna answer a question that no one asked them, but we're gonna answer it anyway. And here's yet another anonymous question from Startup Designers Group. And the question, I wrote it in Hebrew. I'm going to translate it live. This is going to be a treat for everyone. So let's see. This is me preparing for my work in the UN. Okay, so here we go. So I graduated from communication design class about 20 years ago. Since then, I worked in pretty much every possible area: marketing, fintech, startups, gaming, and design was always part of my DNA. An ex-colleague tried to get me into into a design role in a gaming company where she worked, but I wasn't accepted. To my surprise, a little bit later, the same company called me and actually wanted me for a role of creative director. It was actually a combination of art director and a studio manager. And throughout those years doing that role, I wasn't really following trends in the design world. I knew Figma kind of basically, but I carried on working with Adobe, with the Adobe suite tools. I used AI, but mostly just to come up with creative ideas and image making. Then at some point, the team split, the company went through mergers, and at the end of the day, there were only 2 designers and me. And then the layoff started. A bunch of departments were closed down, including ours. And here I am today, 40 plus years old, looking at open roles and feeling I was just left behind. I'm reading post after post and I feel like they're talking Chinese. Claude, components, vibe coding. How do I get back on the horse? How can I get back into business, or is it just time to give up? Melissa is a residential, coach and aspirational speaker. Should this person give up?
Never give up.
There you go.
Maybe pivot if you would want to, but don't just give up.
There you go. If you can dream it, you can do it. So what should this person do?
I think when I hear that, my first thought is, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a director and oversee people designing? Maybe in that sense, you don't really need the hands-on work. Or do you kind of want to get back into the hands-on work and need to take some courses here and there to kind of know the new tools? Like what's the path you want to move forward in?
Yeah, I completely get it, and I think I spoke to someone today, and she asked me, she's like, well, I want to go into the academy. I want to get like another degree, but I also want to be a manager again. But I also want to go to a startup. I also really enjoy working in this company. And my answer was like, so go back home, look at the mirror, tell me what you want, and we can work backwards from there. I can give you a bunch of coaching advice, but you need a compass. You need to know where you're going. And it sounds like this person, it's easy to get your mind all boggled up with like everything is moving so fast. Like how do I even get back on this train? But like my experience, because I felt the same way, because I was like I would call me an AI skeptic. I wasn't sure that's a thing. I wasn't sure where it was going. I was kind of kept my eye on it. And it feels like within 2 weeks, suddenly like, okay, no one does Figma anymore. It's all Claude. Everyone is vibe coding. And I felt like a dinosaur. But I can tell you from really kind of digging my heels and trying to really learn this stuff and now utilizing it in my work, like really strongly in my day to day, it's not that hard. Like the learning curve is not that impossible. Well, if you take a week, take 2 weeks, take a month, I think within a month of doing what we call intentional training, it's not just like, I'm going to go and vibe code today. No, like give yourself a task. I'm going to practice this. I'm going to practice that. I feel like within a month, any designer and obviously a designer with so much experience can get up to par with what's happening in the industry. It really hurts my emotions, like seeing people who get so down on themselves because like everything is moving so fast. I don't feel like someone who's 45 is too old for design. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also really relate to what you said. Like, I also, not that I was skeptical, but I kind of like missed the initial bandwagon for AI. And I would use it for research here and there, but not so much because I felt like I knew what I wanted to do and I would just go for it. And then once Claude came out, my dad is obsessed with Claude. So he's always sending me articles and links and like cheat sheets and all these different things. And it seems like such a bigger mountain when you're looking at it from the bottom. But once you just start hiking and climbing up there, like it's really not impossible. And the more you fail, like I made a whole like API with Claude Code. There were a lot of mistakes that I made, but then it taught me like how to move forward. And each time that you kind of play around with it, you learn more and more. And it gets a lot less scary. And it's still like, it's a scary idea. Like AI is everywhere, but I think that you can really utilize it and become like a builder. And I think that's the path forward.
100%. And I remember sitting with a couple of friends that I used to work with, and we were having lunch, and they were telling me all about all the, how they use AI to bring stuff together, to push code, to create PRs, and my head was just spinning, and I've never felt older. I never felt less relevant. And again, you can fall into like a whole midlife crisis, and like immediately I'm going on my phone and I'm looking for jobs at the local supermarket, because what I can do if not putting tomatoes in a nice pile for the punters. But then I kind of grabbed myself, kind of shook myself and said, no, like you're not too old for this. And I find that the best thing to do is to find someone who knows this stuff. And just be very honest and say, like, listen, I know nothing. Talk to me like an idiot. Let's go step by step. And then you go and you try it. And then the next week you meet again. Like, it's such a small mountain when you actually start tackling it, that I really want to communicate that idea that no one can be irrelevant by not doing a thing for a year, for 2, for 5 years. Even if you've been out of this business for 5 years, you can still jump in. It takes no time to learn those skills. And again, it just hurts to see people who feel that way, like they're completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think like you just need to get started, and you could even use AI to help you learn AI. Be like, talk to me like I know nothing. Teach me the basics of what I could do with you. And there's a lot of tutorials, a lot of places to. I mean, my dad sends me all of them. If he can find them, anyone can.
No, that's so true. Like the nice thing about AI tools is it's a machine that teaches you how to use it, and you can just go open Claude, open whatever you want, and say like, "Hi, I'm an idiot. Teach me how to do this stuff," and they would teach you like an idiot. It's great. Again, I've heard that line that action absorbs anxiety. And just do the thing. Start getting yourself moving, and immediately you'll see this anxiety go down, and or at least get into the right size, into a proportional size. So, Meliza, I really hope that we helped here and gave some hope and some advice. So, before we say thank you and finish this episode, you, Meliza, as our distinguished guest, you get the great honor of giving us a fun fact that is both fun and a fact. And you said you had the doozy, and you didn't want to tell me what it was before we started talking, so I'm really excited to hear it.
I really hope you don't know it, because then it's going to ruin the punchline. But it's a mix of
like I said, I'm an idiot, so I probably don't know it.
So it's a mix of like my photography world and product design world. So, okay, you have a Polaroid. You take a picture, or an Instax nowadays. You take a picture. What do you do with it?
I shake it.
Okay, you're not supposed to shake it.
Oh,
so
okay.
Even though everyone knows the song, like Shake It Like a Polaroid Picture, Polaroid actually had to publicly say, like, stop shaking them, because it's funny because like before the 70s, the technology and the chemicals, if you shook it helped it dry. But now no air gets to the chemicals, and you can actually streak it and cause blobs at the corners of the photos. So even though I think they really like the marketing of Shake It Like a Polaroid Picture, they had to like publicly say, don't actually shake it.
That's amazing. I'm now considering my life choices all over again. Like all those pictures, I shook like a Polaroid picture. It reminds me. First of all, it's a great lesson in branding, that sometimes your brand becomes stronger than your actual words, and it's really hard to stop people from doing the thing that your brand is. But it reminds me, like if you get like a box of Q-tips, like those ear cleaning sticks, if you look on the box, it says "do not use to clean your ear."
Yeah.
Like you're not supposed to do it, but that's what people are doing it with.
But that's what people think that it's made for.
No, exactly. Like if they stop selling it as an ear cleaning stick, no one would buy it. Like why would anyone buy this thing? Yeah. So this is a really cool fact. I will stop shaking my pictures, Meliza. And thank you. Thank you for the tip. Now we'll have perfectly beautiful, tiny little analog pictures.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, thank you again for being here. And again, I just love every part of this story and your approach and the way you navigated your career. And I really hope people would listen to this once, twice, maybe 3 times. It's in English, to go slowly. Maybe don't listen at 200%. But there's just so much gold that you give in here about managing a career, having agency, and doing a hard transition by leaning on your skills and not just waiting for an opportunity. So thank you for coming. Good luck at Get. Very good friends of mine and our family. So thank you again.
Thank you.
No problem. Really enjoyed it. אז תודה שהצטרפתם לרעיון טוב, פודקאסט על עיצוב קריירה ורעיונות עבודה. אל תשכחו לעקוב אחרינו בספוטיפיי, יוטיוב או כל מקום אחר שיש פודקאסטים. ואם נהנתם, למה שלא תספרו לחבר? שבוע הבא, גברים או נשים, מי באמת סובל יותר במהלך הריון? נתראה שם. Should I finish in English? Now I don't know what to do.
Maybe do one of each. Sorry.
Okay, word and word. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
No, I meant try English and then Hebrew, and then you could decide later. That's what I meant.
I'm going to go straight to Portuguese and just finish the whole thing. Obrigado. Okay.